The Jump to the War here, and today we've got a Rating Your Doomstack video covering a Doomstack that I knew I would eventually get in as soon as I saw this was possible. And it's on a unit that I have trashed so many times throughout Total War Warhammer. It is the Feral Manticore Doomstack for the Warriors of Chaos. So what is it that makes the Feral Manticores now suddenly a potential Doomstack? Well, there are resources out in the world now that you can get for various global bonuses, and there are two resources out there that give quite significant global bonuses over to Feral Manticores. One is Pastures, possibly the most common resource in the game, and each pasture building that you get will give you 5% physical resistance for Feral Manticores, which, if you get enough of them, can give you 100% physical resistance. Now, of course, that is over the cap. 90% is the absolute limit for physical resistance, so he's actually gotten too many of them. And the next thing is spices. Now, spices aren't that common, but you don't really need that many of them to start seeing real effect. For every spice resource that you have, you will gain 5 extra melee attack for Chaos Feral Manticores and also for Chaos Trolls. Seems like Creative Assembly heard how much I trashed Trolls and Feral Manticores in the previous game and was like, right, we're going to make these the meta in Warhammer 3. So anyway, we're going to go up against two armies of dwarfs here. Now we've got to keep in mind that they do have some magical attacks here with the hammerers. So they're going to bypass our physical resistance. But Iron Drake's Trollhammer torpedoes, nope, we're going to be blocking 90% of that. Flame cannons, nope, that is physical fire, and we block 90% of that. Cannons, block it. Block it. You know, we're blocking everything except for the hammerers. That's the only thing we got to be watching out for here. We're under the command of a Demon Prince of Nurgle. I'm not sure why specifically a Nurgle Lord, because the Chaos Feral Manticores are actually undivided. But, let's jump in here and see how it goes. We've also got an Ungor Raider, which I understand that as being a ground unit needed to just stop you from taking a leadership penalty, because the Chaos Feral Manticore is not unbreakable. So you don't want to be taking the constant leadership effect from having an all-flying army. Now, there's a bit of a misconception out there, which I saw in previous videos with people saying, oh, why don't you just land your flying unit and then you won't take the leadership penalty? This is clearly being said by people who have not played the situation. That actually doesn't work. Okay, if you don't have, so if you've got 20 flying units, right, or just all flying units, and you put them on the ground like this, they will still take the leadership penalty. It will say flying units must attack, or else they'll take leadership penalties, because it's not about being grounded or on the sky. You just you have to have one unit that cannot fly on the ground if you don't want to take that leadership penalty. You have to do it. Anyway, let's jump in here and see how we go. Now, we just want to rely just on the Feral Manticores here. Don't do an exclamation there. No big deal. I imagine these guys are here to provide a bit of support. Fire magic is good, so you go over there, pop down some flame storms, really good against dwarfs. These guys here probably have, like, I don't know, yeah, brass cleaver there, and I don't know what this guy's got. Oh, Warrior's Bane, cool. So yeah, they just hover over to provide buffs and debuffs. And then this guy, Nurgle Castle, he's got loads of abilities: Tormentor Sword, Stand or Die, Helm of Discord. This one here for extra melee attack and weapon strength. Help make them unbreakable for a little bit. So that's good, but I think we can do this with just the Feral Manticores. Okay, so we're going to point out, it's good that he's got these characters in here. I like that he did that, but we're not going to rely on them. Because with these Doomstack ratings, we're testing them out. The way to test them out is by putting them under so much stress and actually not using them efficiently and seeing how well they actually do. Like, if I play this like a disaster battle, what I could do is just, like, use my Chaos Sorcerer of Fire and wipe out half their army without even needing the Feral Manticores. But that's not a good test. Now, with single entity spams, typically speaking, if you're not afraid of the missile units, you want to be staying in a tight formation, as if they're just one unit. The reason for that is because it gives them a smaller surface area, making it more difficult for enemy units to actually hit them. But we've got so much resistance that, I don't know, I guess they can spread out and it'll be fine. It's also on very hard battle difficulty. Yep. Difficulty modifier 8. They're not maxed out in terms of experience, but I don't think that really matters, because the main thing here was just getting that physical resistance up. Oh yeah, and in the tech tree you also get Gore Feast, which gives them regeneration while in melee without giving them a flame weakness. So we have a look at this hammerer here. It has done 1,400 damage, but it's lost half of its health already, so it is not trading well despite being able to bypass that physical resistance. Because they also do have some ward save, 5%, but it's not that big of a deal. That's what's blocking magical attacks, but 5% is not that big of a deal. Let me tell you something about resistances and how the game sort of gets really sort of wonky when you get into really high resistances. Right? Tell you just some little mathematical little facts about resistances, right? So the cap is 90%. But did you know that every point above say 50 becomes more valuable than the previous point, right? So if you have 1 physical resistance, right, you're blocking 1% of damage, right? It's barely any difference, right? But on the other end of the scale, if you're at 89% physical resistance... Oh man, this one here is getting wrecked. Let's do all the hammerers there. Get them in. Come and help. Lopsided damage isn't good. But yeah, if you're at 89% physical resistance, do you know what that 1 point extra of physical resistance actually means? It actually means 10% less damage, right? It doesn't seem like it's only 1 point of physical resistance, right? Because it works as a negative, right? So, if you do the maths on it, if you're going up against something that does 100 damage per hit of physical damage, if you have 50% physical resistance, each hit will do 50 damage. If you're at 89% physical resistance, each hit will do 11 damage, right? So, what's the difference between 89 and 90 resistance in that case? One hit does 89, the other one would do... one would do 11 damage, the other one would do 10 damage, which is 10% less than 11. It may not seem like much, but it gives them like a lot more staying power. So that's why it's really important with these sort of doom stacks here to get as close to the resistance cap as possible. I don't know if I explained that really well. It makes sense in my mind, but sometimes I hear myself back and I'm just like, I don't know if I made any sense out of that. Yeah, simplify what I just said. Basically, big number better, okay? That's to really simplify it, that's all you gotta know. Bigger the number, the better. Try to get it to 90. This is why all the best one-man doom stacks all have 90% resistance of some kind. Now this would definitely go a lot better if I brought this guy over here and debuffed them, but I think it's going fine. It's just lopsided damage. Most of them aren't taking that much damage, but one of them is just getting hit really hard. Where's this one? And I bet you it's the hammerers. What else could it be? The flame cannons? If you have a look over here. Nah, not really. 600's not that much. Plus it'd be hitting its own units. Alright, look. I'll give you a fleshy abundance and then you can go back in. Oh no, you can go back in, I'll just come over and pop down a fleshy abundance. But the hammerers, yeah, they're doing decent amount of damage. Because like, each of these has only 5,000 health max. Don't think this guy here is increasing the battle healing cap. So this would be a lot better if you're actually using Festus. on, guys, you gotta stick together. That's all, just give him a little bit of a boost. But you can see here the bounce power's gotten a lot better. But yeah, these two specifically here are just getting hit too hard. I'm going to pull them out and get them out of the fight. These are just lopsided damage. Just get them out. I think one shattered. Yeah, it did. Must have already broken 3 times. Okay, whatever. That's okay, I was going to pull it out anyway. Like I said, the morale on the Manticores is not great. That's why you would have these guys in here. But again, to reiterate, it's a test. We're putting them under a lot of stress. They would normally have a lot of support here, but I'm denying them that support to see what they can do. And honestly, they're doing a really good job. This is 2 full stacks of dwarves, and they have magical attack. And they're handling it. Like, if we have a look at the hammers again, like, that's a lot of damage, but it's the only unit in their army that can do anything. Like, the Iron Breakers here, actually, they're doing a fair bit, but it's probably from their missile attack. That one hasn't done anything. Guess I could have waited and popped this down. Legend, why are you being so shit? You're being so inefficient. Again, it's a test. Testing these guys out. See, put them under stress, see what they can do. So looking at the damage output on them, it's pretty good. Pretty good. Yeah, their leadership would definitely be a lot better if our general was here. That's okay. I guess another thing, if I brought him over here, they'd all be trying to shoot him. I need to get this one out of here, it's... Gonna chuck the shits. Thing is, dwarves have a lot of mass, it can be... It's actually easier to punch your way out of these situations. Ah, that's already broken, okay. Well, that's what I want, I just wanted to get it out of there, I don't want him to die. Cool, just let it do its thing. And I guess we can just sit there and watch some Manticore fighting. Every now and again someone gets put back up. Right, you can leave that area, you hit your regen cap. This one here is next to leave. But I think the army losses isn't too far off. Not too concerned about the gyrocopters. If you ever look at them, yeah, they're doing some damage, but not that much. Yeah, a couple of flamestorms would have made quick work of this. And I think the extra melee defense was would have been really helpful. Same thing with dropping down their melee attack by so much using these fairly often. Would have made a big difference. But again, we're here to test them out without support, see what they can do. Because otherwise, if you rely too heavily on abilities, you're just like, you're rating items and you're rating abilities more so than the actual units themselves. They've got to be able to stand on their own 2 feet, which they definitely can. Or in this case here, 4 feet. That one there essentially kill the whole Manticore, but you know, at the same time they do regenerate. They'd have about 3,000 health that they can regenerate, so in total they'd have about 8,000 health. Okay, no, they would have 2,500 that they can heal. No. That's its current health. No, it doesn't show how much they could have healed. Yeah, it would be about 3,000. This one just okay. You're done. Don't need all of you. This battle's almost over. Now, the reason why I've always hated feral manticores is because of rampage. Because manticores are, without the physical resistance, are the type of unit that would normally, there's the army losses, would normally, you know, be okay against a lot of units, but there are some units in the game that would absolutely, like, kill them really quickly. And so you might be using it fairly effectively, and then all of a sudden, boom, it goes rampage. And they can go rampaging fairly early on, and then just pick a fight with something that they stand no chance against and get absolutely killed. It can be very frustrating having a unit behave that badly. And my armies need to be reliable, and so I don't like unreliable units. But if you have this much physical resistance where you can take on anything, then it doesn't really matter so much if they go rampage, because they're still more or less going to be fighting reasonably well. Okay, so now we'll have a look at the skills of the army and see why he's done things the way they are. But yeah, we took a little bit of damage, lopsided damage, but you know, we could have prevented a lot of that by having the Lord nearby. But again, I wanted to see what they could do on their own. I think the Ungor was a good choice to get because it stalks, so they won't go hunting it down. Another choice could be if you don't have an alliance with Beastmen, is just get like a Warhound unit. That way, it can either hide or it can just outrun pretty much anything that comes near it, or a Marauder Horseman unit. Another unit that can be boosted like absolutely crazy with the Warriors of Chaos resources. Alright, so why a Nurgle Demon Prince? Why? Let's have a look. Because I actually haven't ever looked at a Demon Prince of Nurgle. I want to see if there's any sort of special reason why it might be there. Alright, so this one's a Mortis engine, right? So that is good for sure, but that would have not really made the Manticores look good if this guy killed off the entire army by himself. Plus, he's got 80% physical resistance. That's pretty nuts. That's just on himself. Yeah, that's fine. Extra hit points for him would definitely be good for the Lord, but not for the army. And then this Hex over here, which, you know, reduces their weapon strength by 5%. Yeah, that's good. For sure. Which we were not using in this battle. So that would have meant that the Hammerers would have been doing, you know, a little bit less. But, I don't think it was essential to have a Demon Prince of Nurgle in here. You might have been better off having an undivided Demon Prince, because these are actually undivided units. You don't actually have your full undivided authority there. Not a big deal. It doesn't really boost them in combat, but you're missing out on reduced upkeep cost, 4%. It's not a big deal. As for these guys here, Chaos Sorcerer of Fire, cool, I guess. I don't think you can turn him Nurgle, can you? No. It's good, and you got. I saw that this was just about equipment. Now, I gotta wonder, why did you go with this instead of Chaos Commander? Because that might have been a bit more useful. You could have given, like, melee defense and leadership could have really helped them out a lot. So I don't really agree with the casualty replenishment rate, and the experience gain per turn plus 50 is not really that much. That's probably the least effective out of the three. Did you do that with this one as well? You didn't even choose it with this one. But yeah, I would definitely go with that. If you have a look at the other options. I wouldn't devote them to Nurgle, because that way it'd be stuck on the ground. And would not be stalking. So, don't get me wrong. Exalted Heroes of Nurgle, definitely good, but not for this, necessarily. You know, you're trying to keep them in the sky. Yeah, that makes sense. I don't think these guys here are getting the physical resistance buff, even though they're on a Manticore. I think there's just other things going on with that. So, these ones here, they've got 100% physical resistance. If we showcase what's causing this, if we go to pasture buildings, physical resistance plus 5% for Chaos Warhounds and Feral Manticore, and this stacks. So get enough of them, this is one of the most common resources in the game. There's, you know, one here, that's 15% right there. You know, Bretonia's got plenty. It's just all over the damn place. Plenty of places with pastures where you can get really quite easily 100%. I mean, he doesn't even own all the pastures out there. There's heaps more out there. That being said, once you're at 90%, going any further isn't going to do anything. Now, I don't think he's actually got access to any spices here, but if he did, you could increase your melee attack further with them, which would just have helped them to, especially with the dwarves, to penetrate their extremely high melee defense. So if we have a look at some of these units that we left over. So for example, this Ironbreaker, right? With 76 melee defense, the Chaos Feral Manticore does not have a 92% chance of hitting it, which is the cap. You can't get any higher than 92%. So with every spice resource, which, by the way, there's not tons of them out there, but with every one will give you 5 extra melee attack. But some notable areas where you can find spices are Lustria and the Southlands. I think there's some spices up in the Chaos Wastes. Oh, there's also some in Estalia as well now. Where is it? Yeah, it's some right here. So hunting them down and getting those resources can be very useful if you want to build a Manticore or multiple Manticore Doom stacks. Because it's not an expensive unit either. That's pretty damn cheap. Considering that was 2 full stacks of dwarves and I didn't even fight it efficiently. Like, it was anything but efficient. It was the most brainless way I could have gone about it. This is a stupidly strong Doom stack as long as you go and get those resources. I wouldn't bother going to make this until you probably get to about 50%. Otherwise, they will die very quickly and Rampage will forever be very frustrating. But, you know, most of the Warriors of Chaos have fairly easy access to the Empire. There's tons of pastures in there. There's also quite a few pastures in Cathay. So, you know, hunt them down and, you know, make your Manticores extremely strong. So how would I rate this? Hard to say. It's only turn 118. It's not super late in the campaign. I could give it a 10 out of 10. This could potentially take out 4 full stacks if I used the heroes correctly. You know, I only needed to pull 2 of them, or actually 3 of them out of combat because they were out of regen. Using Festus could have made this a hell of a lot better with like near unlimited battle regen cap. But overall, it's a really good Doom stack. This is just kind of hard to rate. I'd rate it somewhere between like 9 and 10. It just depends on what you're doing with it. You know, it's just not a case of just recruit Manticores 10 out of 10. You've got to do those other things. If you don't do those other things, then you're not gonna get high ratings. Also, he hasn't got spices yet, and even though 70 melee attack is definitely good, it can go up a hell of a lot more by getting, you know, even getting 2 of them. You know, an extra 10% chance of hit, make a big difference in killing the enemy army quickly, because they've got a good amount of weapon strength. They just need to hit hard. Anyway, that's the end of this one here, guys. Let me know in the comments below what you think of this particular Doom stack, whether you think it's a 10 out of 10. I'm dishing out way too many 10 out of 10s lately, although that being said, some of the Doom stacks being sent in are fantastic. I'm just wary of just rating everything a bloody 10 out of 10, so I'd much rather hear what you guys rate it, and I'll just, you know, let you know if I like it or dislike it. But my rating would be somewhere, you know, in the high 9s to 10. Anyway, that's the end of this one. Appreciate you guys, and I'll see you next time, fuckers. Bye.